What's up? This is Dr. William James reporting to you with Dr. Will James Reports. Today we're talking about Charles Kirk. So Charles Kirk is a right-wing activist. He talks about different political issues, different social issues. And, I tend to agree with him on certain issues when it comes to abortion or it comes to um, transgenderism and things of that nature. However, there are some aspects of things that we disagree with. Um, I think he's dishonest and I think he knows what he's doing when he does certain things. He goes to speak on college campuses and he shows up fairly well prepared. However, the people that he's speaking to are not usually intellectually prepared. They're not emotionally intelligent. They don't have the facts. They don't have the information to poke holes in his argument and address the weaknesses in his arguments. Now, the reason I say this is because in one of his recent videos that I saw, he was addressing crime in the Black community, and he was speaking about how Black people make up 13% of the population, but they're responsible for 50% of the homicides in the United States of America. So I just want to watch this clip, and then we're going to unpack it.
You are a fucking racist who does not have accurate statistics or facts.
What have I said that's not factual or not true or anything that I've said that's racist? Name one thing.
Yeah.
Black people are 13% of the population and they commit 50% of the murders. You can look it up.
Over, please.
Wait, you.
What's your source?
The FBI, the Department of Justice. You look it up. Anyone can look it on your phone. It is a fact that blacks have a disproportionate amount of the violent crime in their community.
Y'all don't fucking understand statistics. How you speak on numbers?
Come up to the mic and call me a racist to my face, or are you an intellectual coward and want to shout it from 30 feet away? Come on up. Come on. Call me a racist.
Okay. So that was the clip that I was referring to. And that's a real source, the FBI statistics, FBI data. When you look on the source, when you look on the site, you do see that. You can go to ucrfbi.gov, okay? And you look at the crime in the United States, which you add up from 2019. Okay, so let's address this issue. Now, I had another video up where I was talking about crime in the United States, and I was talking about with this data, one of the limitations or one of the threats to validity could be, socioeconomic status, and how Black people could be found guilty of a crime or just because they don't have proper representation with a lawyer. However, the FBI doesn't even get their data from convictions. All right. The FBI gets their data, something called the Uniform Crime Report, which doesn't even go off of convictions. It goes off of, eyewitness testimony, for people ages 12 and older, victims' account of a situation, and things of that nature. So that makes it worse that it doesn't go off convictions. If it went off convictions, there would still be a limitation. There would still be a threat to validity, because then you would have to see, is this person guilty? Did this person really commit the crime? Or did they just not have the resources to properly defend themselves, even though they were innocent? That would be a threat to validity. But when you're just looking at data and it's based off of eyewitness testimony, it's based off victim accounts, when people report someone and they say, oh, a Black person assaulted me, and then this is put into the FBI data, how do they know? It could be a case where someone is saying someone Black assaulted me, and it could be a Black Hispanic, or it could just be a Hispanic person. This person mistakes this person as black. Um, there's several threats there. Also, we have to deal with honesty. We don't know if people are lying and saying, because there's been things throughout history where black people have been lied on, and someone will say, oh, this black person assaulted me, or they did this, they did that, and it was not the case. Okay. Emmett Till is a famous situation. He was 14 years old. A white woman accused him of like catcalling her and being, vulgar, and it never even happened. All right. There's several stories, several cases like this where black people have been done wrong throughout the 20th century, lied on, accused of certain things, and it wasn't even true. So when we look at this data, we must address that point. So let's look at several of the limitations with this form of reporting. So let's look at the limitations, right? So some of the limitations with this. The Uniform Crime Reporting Program, while a crucial tool in understanding crime trends in the United States, has several limitations affecting the accuracy and completeness of its data. Some of these limitations include voluntary participation. So they get this data from throughout the United States, from various police agencies and counties in the United States of America. But it's voluntary participation. So not everyone has to report their data. So you may see in some counties it's reported, the crime that black people commit or other races, but it may not be reported when crime is being committed by other races because it's voluntary. It's not like it's something that's mandatory that has to be reported. Again, furthermore, non-mandatory reporting, like I just said, since reporting to the UCR is voluntary, not all law enforcement agencies participate or report data consistently. This can lead to gaps in data. It may not fully represent crime nationwide. So this doesn't even fully report. Just because the reported data has homicides at 50 cents for the black community, what would all of the data say? This does not mean that black people make up 50% of the homicides in the United States of America if it's not based on convictions. It's not even based on convictions. So I want to see the conviction rate and who's responsible for that. And then that, like I said, that would point to another limitation based on representation and who has access to a paid attorney. But this is not even that. This is not even based off convictions. This is just what was given up by law enforcement agencies, and not all law enforcement agencies have reported their crime. Reporting practices, differences in reporting practices. There can be a significant variations in how crimes are reported and categorized by different law enforcement agencies, affecting the consistency and reliability of the data. Hierarchy rule. In the traditional summary reporting system, if multiple offenses are committed during a single incident, only the most serious crime is reported. This rule can lead to underreporting of less severe crimes. So what if a rape took place and then a murder? This is saying that they would only count the murder and not the rape. Like, this is showing a limitation. If multiple crimes take place, they're going to report the most severe crime. That's going to lead to underreporting. That's an example. Excuse me. Crime definition and classification. Inconsistent definitions. The definitions of crimes can vary between jurisdictions and may not align perfectly with the UCR definitions, leading to inconsistencies in reporting. Again, if this goes from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, state to state, in one place that can be a violation or it could be a misdemeanor, and in another state it could be a felony. Limited crime categories. The UCR focuses on specific categories of crimes, which means it does not capture all types of criminal activity. For example, it traditionally emphasizes street crimes over white collar crimes, cyber crimes, and other non traditional crimes. So, if this is placing emphasis on street crimes, and then someone, uses tech and they hack someone's computer and they steal 2,000, 3,000 from a bank account, uh, that's not going to be reported. Okay. Um, so we know certain crimes are committed um, within the Black community, and they don't tend to be, cyber crimes. So he's purposely doing this. I think he knows this, how this is reported. And we need to have an honest discussion about this, because I think he knows. Underreporting and non-reporting. Unreported crimes. A significant limitation is that the UCR only includes crimes reported to law enforcement. Many crimes, especially certain types of property crimes and violent crimes like sexual assault, have high rates of non-reporting by victims, leading to an underestimation of true crime rates. So, could it be that in the Black community we just report crime, or it's just reported more? Like, for example, if a sexual assault occurs in the Black community, maybe we report it more. But still, on the charts, white was leading with SA, or sexual assault, in 2019, according to his own source. But again, these are threats to the accuracy of the FBI reports. Okay. In certain communities, they tend to look after their own. So they may not report this to the FBI. It cannot be reported to the local police station, and then it could not be reported to the FBI. Lack of incident details, especially within the summary reporting system, the lack of detailed data about each incident, information about the offender, victim, and circumstances limits the depth of analysis and understanding that can be derived from UCR data. So if they're lacking incident details, especially within the summary reporting system, the lack of details of each incident regarding information about the offender or the victim and the circumstances, how do you know? This goes back to what I was saying before. They don't know for a fact in some of these situations that the offender was Black, but it's reported. And he's using this source without highlighting these limitations. Okay? Let me stop sharing my screen. He's using this source without highlighting these limitations on purpose. If he doesn't know, he needs to shut up. He needs to go back to the drawing board, and that's just like, he needs to do better as a journalist. I had to go back and I had to look at the UCR report and really look at the true limitations. It even says it in one of the documents. Okay. Let me share my screen so we can see the document. Okay. Let me see. Look at this document. Okay. So in the document, it's saying the UCR, the second paragraph, these UCR data on incidents of non-fatal violent crime can be compared to data from the National Crime Victimization Survey to determine how much offense and arrest differences by race and ethnicity can be attributed to differences in criminal involvement. The NCVS collects information on victims' perceptions of offenders, race, ethnicity, and other characteristics and incidents of violent crime. So the NCVS collects information on victims' perception of offenders' race, ethnicity, and other characteristics. Perception. So perception is not reality. If you perceive someone as black, that doesn't mean they're black. And this is coming from Charles Kirk, who knows he has a strong stance against transgenderism. And he knows just because someone perceives themselves to be a man or a woman doesn't actually mean that they are. But yet he's going to stick this data out there like it's absolute. And he knows about this. Okay. He knows how this is reported. This survey is administered to persons aged 12 or older from a nationally representative sample of U.S. household. The 2018 NCVS data file includes interviews from 151,000 households. An examination of offenders' characteristics as reported by victims. Okay. Based on the 2018 NCVS and UCR, Black people accounted for 29% of violent crime offenders and 35% of violent crime offenders and incidents reported to police, compared to 33% of all persons arrested for violent crimes. Okay. Then when we look at the source, what is it at? Up here, pay attention to what this says. It says at the same time, white offenders were underrepresented among persons arrested for non-fatal violent crimes. 46% relative to their representation among offenders identified by victims in the NCVS, 52%. Do you see that? They were underrepresented. That's a 6% difference. This is a threat to validity. He knows this. Okay? So he just needs to be honest. Okay? With all of the holes within this, while this may be the best form of data collection we have on crime in the US, it doesn't mean that it's 100% accurate. There are several limitations. Okay? Several things wrong here. Okay? He needs to sit down with someone like myself. I would love to sit down with Charles Kirk and have an honest look at this data. Let's have an honest conversation, because he said, oh, within the Black community, they are the majority responsible for crime. In every community, that race where they are the majority, they are responsible for the majority of crime. Okay? Especially towards one another. Black people harm Black people the most. White people harm white people the most. Asians harm Asians the most, etc. Because you live amongst each other. So you're more likely to commit harm towards someone of your race. America is diverse as a nation, but if you go to certain neighborhoods, you pretty much know what you're going to see. You know if you're going to see predominantly Black people. You know if you're going to see predominantly white people. You know if you're going to see predominantly Asian people. Anyways, that's my time. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video. If you haven't, go get my book on Amazon, Black Supremacy, Dr. Will James Reports. Peace.